Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the common water ghost-type Pokemon Frillish and its relatively rare evolution Jellicent, the two collectively known as the Floating Pokémon. Spooky and more eerie than the organic forms might initially suggest, the members of the Frillish family are potent jellyfish that can drag others to the depths of the ocean floor before they even know what's happening.
Frillish have semi-translucent bodies with a dark inner form, with 3 tentacle-like appendages on the lower forms and a pair on their upper forms, with a thin membranous collar around their neck and a large bulbous head with a crown-like top, visible mouth, and glowing eyes with dark sclera. They are differentiated by gender in that the males are blue, have thin straight edges on their appendages, a tiny crown-like membrane on the top of their head, a frilled neck collar, a down-turned mouth, dark red eyes with dark blue sclera, and a single straight eyelash stroke on the outer sides of their eyes, while females are pink, have wavy edges on their appendages, a short spike bit of membrane on the top of their heads, a bulbous neck collar, an upturned mouth, and blue eyes with dark red sclera, with a rounded eyelash mark on the outer sides of their eyes. The evolved form Jellicent have massive bulbous heads that are extremely large compared to their much smaller torsos, with larger upper appendages and lower limbs that are broader in form. Male Jellicent are still blue in color with spots and straight edges on the lower appendages, and a large thick band of pale blue membrane that encircles the middle of the head almost like facial hair, with a single straight eyelash mark on the outer sides of their eyes. Female Jellicent, on the other hand, are still pink in color, have webbed, rounded edges to the lower appendages, and have a thick, pale pink membrane band around their head lowered towards the neck, revealing a pair of rounded eyelash markings on the outer side of their eyes, and a mouth that has a heart-shaped form to it.
Frillish and Jellicent are unique among ghost types in that the genders are clearly visible to anyone with functioning eyes.
While the visible differences between the two are linked in legend to their supposed origins as the transformed state of survivors of a sunken ancient city, the most logical explanation behind this phenomenon is that different body colors and body patterns make it easier for members of these species to identify one another within the dark depths of the ocean floor. Anatomically speaking, however, Frillish and Jellicent do not possess strong enough eyesight to make such distinctions useful in the darkness of the deep sea. Although these creatures are incredibly similar to Tentacool and Tentacruel in that they are jellyfish, mostly made out of seawater, and use toxins to capture prey, they are distinct in that they possess incredibly advanced energy-draining powers. Because these particular powers match more closely with that of ghost types, Frillish and Jellicent are classified as such, and not as poison types. However, because these powers are usually only seen within creatures that have no physical form, their effect on gender is rarely noticed. This is clearly not the case with Frillish and Jellicent. Being among the few ghost types with discrete physical forms, the spiritual powers of these species seems to turn their internal emotional states outward and displace them physically. In short, Frillish and Jellicent are easily identified as either male or female because both genders demonstrate different combinations of inherent emotions. Females tend to be upbeat and sometimes caring, while males tend to be a bit colder and neutral in their feelings. The colors pink and blue, along with a few non-color characteristics, seemingly represent this contrast perfectly. The exact mechanism responsible for this process, however, has yet to be fully understood because of the mystery surrounding ghost-type powers in general.
At the very least, though, they can certainly make great use of it defensively, as the natural capacity to absorb water readily into the systems and the spectral powers grant them access to water-absorb and cursed body as base abilities, respectively. While those that are able to keep their skin moist for long reaches of time on land could also have access to damp as a hidden ability.
As far as the stats are concerned in the case of Jellicent, these creatures share much in common with other types of jellyfish Pokemon, in that their physical attributes are rather poor, and they can't make much use of great agility or offensive power to deal with threats. But they do have a useful resistance against energy-based attacks, and can soak up damage quite well with a high stamina, their base HP and special defense stats being above average for fully evolved water and ghost-type Pokemon, so they can still prove to have a noteworthy and dangerous presence in battle if provoked.
In sharp contrast to Tentacool and Tentacruel, which prefer warm ocean water, Frillish and Jellicent prefer to live within extremely cold water. It is no surprise that they are almost found exclusively within the deepest parts of the ocean, only ever coming to the surface to hunt for prey.
Frillish are not very picky when it comes to prey, but they generally stick to smaller creatures they can wrap their tentacles around fully. Once encased within their arms, Frillish release a fast-acting paralyzing toxin from the minuscule stingers that are hidden along their veil-like limbs, which tend to be longer in females, that numbs their prey and prevents them from feeling anything, including pain. This toxin is also connected to one of Frillish and Jellicent's possible abilities, Cursed Body, which can cause temporary nerve damage and force the last attack the opponent used on them to become disabled. This is to ensure that they remain conscious for as long as possible as they are dragged back down to their predator's lair, which often exists at depths of 5 miles or more. It appears that Frillish go to this sort of trouble because they gain more life energy from prey as long as they are fully conscious and active, though the reasoning has yet to be fully understood. Life energy in and of itself is a bizarre notion to cope with, as it seemingly has no discrete form and yet results in the death of the creature when fully drained. It is entirely possible that this energy may in fact be some sort of subatomic particle that is hard to detect, but essential for molecular or even atomic stability. Regardless, this life energy is all the Frillish ever used for sustenance, granting them in turn a grim reputation among many fishermen and sailors. Jellicent absolutely love to feed on life energy more than anything else, the crown on their head growing in size the more they absorb said energy, but they are a bit safer to work with than Frillish because they will also eat plankton and seaweed on occasion. Nonetheless, the rate at which they drain life energy dangerously exceeds that of all other ghost types, allowing them to turn a perfectly live human being into a crumbling husk within a few moments. Furthermore, although both Frillish and Jellicent move through the water by taking in and expelling seawater from their bodies, Jellicent are strong enough to utilize their powers to produce devastating water spout attacks capable of tearing the hull of a battleship in half. This serves to provide them both food and physical material to work with, as Jellicent have a habit of making large castle-like nests from the shattered remains of downed ships. Lastly, it should be noted that Jellicent are incredibly territorial and will actively attack any trespassers with the aim of completely destroying them. As such, no ship has ever made it through an expanse of the Atlantic Ocean populated by these creatures without completely vanishing from existence. Thankfully, such areas have been carefully mapped in modern times and are now clearly marked on most navigational maps to prevent such disasters from happening, but these creatures may still be drawn into ports by cruise ships and tankers for a quick meal when there are people on board, making them a danger even when outside of their normal territory.
These creepy jellyfish might look pretty to some, but they kinda give me the heebie-jeebies, and I would recommend caution if you're ever near them in the wild. Frillish might not look all that dangerous at first, but their haunting faces speak volumes about the terrors they can be when in their element. The females at the very least look a bit friendlier, but that does not mean you should let your guard down, as they can still take down adults if you're not wary of them. Jellicent are almost a guaranteed death trap if they manage to snare you in their arms, and taking down entire ships isn't all that hard for them either, so sailing into their territory is a fool's errand at the very best. The fact that they can take a heck of a hit from special attacks means that such tactics are poor choices, and given that getting close to them is a risky action as well, you'll need to figure out a safe way to even approach them if you don't want to feel the icy cold grip of death before you meet the great beyond.
While they might have soft forms that aren't built to handle a great deal of physical stress, the members of the Frillish family are still unique creatures that can make good use of life-draining powers to force others to succumb to their grasp. If you ever think that you might be traveling into the lands that they call home, be sure to have plenty of electrical and grass-type power at your disposal if you want to make it out in one piece.
Do yourself a favor and stay far away from them, for only strong Pokemon might be enough to repel them once they hone in on your location and make it their business to leave you as little more than a dried husk in death.
Thank you all for watching this video. It always brings me great joy to see others enjoying the work I do to try and make the world of Pokemon and the fascinating creatures that lay inside of it feel as real as they possibly can. If you really enjoy my work, please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, as I always do my best to respond to any and all comments that are left on my videos. In addition, if you wish to learn more about my work and help support it, you can find links to my Patreon page, as well as email and other contact information to my work on DeviantArt in the video description down below. Furthermore, you can find a link to my Discord server there as well if you'd like to get a first glimpse at what videos are coming up next and converse with other fans of the world of Pokemon. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a wonderful rest of your day.